Good evening, and welcome to my How Healthy Are You weekly educational podcast. My name is Dr. Thomas Brewer. I'm a PhD chemist and nutritional blood microscopist. There are numerous questions I'll be covering in this week's podcast. The first one deals with bunions, and I'll be ending with the food type diet or blood type diet, where you're eating for your blood type. First thing I wanted to mention, though, are my dates for my upcoming trips where I do blood microscopy. A lot of people have been asking for these dates and want to know when they can start making appointments, so you can start making those now. The first trip is in March to Manchester, Tennessee. Manchester is just south of Nashville, and the dates will be Friday, March 12th, Saturday, March 13th, and Monday, March 15th. So Friday, Saturday, Monday. My Pennsylvania trip will again be in the Myerstown area, which is west of Philadelphia, and similar dates, only in April. So it's going to be the 16th, the 17th, and the 19th. 16th and 17th, Friday and Saturday, and then the 19th is Monday. So again, you can call, text, or email me preferred times, whether it be morning for those dates or afternoon for those dates. And I should be able to get most people in. The sooner you book, the better chance you'll get the exact time that you want. Okay, first question was on bunions, and bunions are a real tricky issue because since there's this bone growth on the foot right around the big toe, you would think that the solution would be to decrease your calcium intake because you've got obviously too much calcium because you have a calcium growth in the form of a bone getting larger. But actually, that's the opposite. So the cause of the bunion was some friction in your shoes. That's the root cause. But what allows the bunion to grow and form is a calcium deficiency in the body. So I know that doesn't make sense, but let me explain. When there's a calcium deficiency in the body must get the calcium somehow, because calcium is the only way the body can change and alter pH to the areas and pH ranges that the body wants. So the body makes acid in the form of hydrochloric acid, but it can't make calcium because calcium is an element. It's not something that can be synthesized. It's not something that can be broken down. It's one of the 106 or 13 or so elements in the periodic table. So since the body needs calcium, it gets it, and it gets it from your bones. But the body always takes too much. So you end up losing some bone density, you lose some calcium content in your bones, and the excess goes down with gravity to your feet and your big toe. And that's where the buildup occurs. So the solution, well, once it builds up, there isn't much you can do to break it down, but you can stop it from growing once you start consuming a good calcium source. So the best calcium, as I always say, is from the green vegetables, especially cucumber, but the leafy greens are all great, and broccoli and asparagus, all great. You want plant-based calcium. That's the best form of calcium for the human body. The next best thing, if you need to supplement, is get the Coral Life, which is true coral calcium from a coral reef, not harvested from the beach, where the calcium oxidizes to calcium oxide. That's not what you want. You want pure coral calcium. And it will absorb like you're consuming any other plant-based calcium, say from green vegetables. So that will stop the growth of the bunion. I know it's counterintuitive, but it all started with a calcium deficiency and some rubbing with your shoe, tight shoe in the wrong place. So that's the calcium question. Now, I've got a number of questions from an individual, so I'll get right on them. The first one is about an allergy to a dog, in this case, a puppy. And there isn't much you can do for allergies. It is just like a food allergy or when you have an allergy to a pollen. There is not much you can do. There are little things you can do, such as consuming antioxidants, which would be in fresh organic fruits and vegetables. As a supplement, it would be the Metabolic Complete. That would be a way to keep your inflammation down. But as far as eliminating the allergy, you have to eliminate the allergen. Unfortunately, we're talking about a puppy here. Well, that's probably out of the question. But minimizing contact, it's a tough call here because it's all about the allergen. There is not much you can do other than minimizing that allergic reaction. Now, another thing that's always good when there's allergies is to ensure that the white blood cells are healthy and active. And again, that's where the Steromax comes in, because the sterolins in the Steromax will feed the white blood cells, which keeps the immune system functioning properly. And we don't want the immune system overly functioning and reacting to items that perhaps it shouldn't be reacting to, in this case, a cute little puppy. But again, it's tough here because you have to get away from the allergen, just like if it was a pollen from a tree or a food allergy. Same thing. I do the food allergy test for people, just a few drops of blood, and sure enough, they find out what they're allergic to. It's normally a food they really like and eat quite a bit of. And all you can do is eliminate your consumption of that food for a certain amount of time, but it's in the ballpark of 6 months or more until your body stops confusing that food with an allergen, and then it builds antibodies against it. You know, what we want antibodies against is COVID-19, not food or little puppies. The next question is, talking about COVID, some people that have had COVID-19 lost their sense of taste and smell. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about this in the news, and it takes many months for them to get their sense of taste and smell back. And this doesn't happen for everyone. I've noticed that the symptoms vary greatly, from mild symptoms to very severe symptoms. And the symptoms don't necessarily correlate with age. Some people just respond differently to this virus. And, you know, what can they do to get their sense of taste and smell back? Again, the only thing you can do is to increase the rate of production of these cells in your mouth and in your respiratory system, especially your nasal membranes where we sense smell. And the best way to do that is the Aloe Ace Max, because it is a cell regenerator. It is not aloe vera gel. It is made from the rind of the aloe plant, and the polysaccharides will allow the body to regenerate cells at a faster rate. So to minimize your recovery time after something bad like this happens, or after surgery, you would take the Aloe Ace Max and use it as a cell regenerator. Now, that product is also very good for diabetics because it balances blood sugar as well as increasing the health of the pancreas, where a lot of the diabetes begins. It's also very good for arthritis and same sort of thing. There's degeneration of tissue with arthritis, and the whole point is to regenerate the tissue that was degenerated. So that's the best thing I can think of to increase the rate of recovering from losing your sense of taste and smell. Okay, the next question is about hormones and breast tenderness while a woman is ovulating. And again, tough thing to fix, because that's a normal response by the human body, typically when estrogen levels are rising. So one thing you can do, though, is take a product that's sold in most all vitamin stores. I do not carry it. It has an acronym called DIM, D-I-M. And this DIM will allow the body to metabolize estrogen at a faster rate or more efficiently, and that should do the trick. I don't like messing with hormones because they're very tricky. It's very tricky to overshoot and go the other way when we're trying to balance hormones. But at a low dose, I would think that's not going to be a problem, and if you go in the right direction, you can figure out the dose that works for you. I believe it's going to be different for everyone, but that's my best recommendation if you're trying to deal with hormones. The final question was about the eating for your blood type diet, and that's fairly popular. It seems like the popularity goes up and down, and in reality, that diet is a theory, and the theory does not work that often. And when it does work, people say, see, that blood type diet works. Well, the various blood types are enzyme-based, and if a person takes plant enzymes with their meals, they can pretty much eat anything they want because they will digest, metabolize, and eliminate that meal. Now, if you're not taking enzymes with your meals, you'll find that in a few cases, eating for your blood type will work for you, but it's not going to work for everyone. It is a good starting point. I think the whole concept is somewhat wasted because as long as you're getting enough enzymes with your meals, such as fruits and vegetables, or supplementing with plant enzymes, or both, you're going to see that you'll be able to eat pretty much anything you want, and this link between blood type and certain foods, so certain blood types are, can eat meat, and certain blood types are not supposed to eat meat, and things like that. I think you'll find it is completely random. It's a decent theory. It goes back to the different types of humans and Neanderthal and Cro-Magnon and the evolution of humans and what humans were eating at these different time periods thousands of years ago. But it's really lost in the details because every person has so many other variables other than their blood type. So it's not a bad place to start, but don't expect it to really work for you. Okay, so that's all I have for this podcast. I'll be doing another podcast next week. Keep sending me those questions. It sure does make the call a little more timely and interesting for people, because I'm sure a lot of people had some of these questions themselves. So thanks for listening, and again, I'll be doing this again next week.